Hey everybody, I am Taylor and I'm the Stargate guy, where I talk to you about everything and anything Stargate. So this video is a short version of the live stream conversation that we had. The live streams are the first Sunday of every month at 10 a.m. Pacific time in the US. So here's just the theory that we were talking about, as well as a few of the comments relating to the theory. You can get the entire thing at a link at the end of this video. Hope you enjoy. Today is going to be a little different. Instead of me talking about a theory that I've come up with, I'm going to be talking about 3 subscriber theories that you guys have sent me, strictly speaking, on Facebook. You can go to facebook.com/StargateGuy and be a part of the Facebook group, and you can message me on there. I read all the messages just like I read all the comments, but I'm not able to reply to everyone simply because that would take a long time, and I need another person just to do that. Okay, Mississippi, what's up? What's up? All right, I'm so excited. I love live streams. So let's get down to business here. All right, first theory by subscriber John Hawk, who is in the comment section right now. Commander Hawk, what's up? He says, hi, I like the videos you post, and I have a possible new theory episode to make. This one is if the Nox had the power to bring back people from the dead and heal wounds, what would happen if the Nox helped the Asgard to heal the degradation through cloning? Would the Nox healing ability cure the Asgard and save them? So this is something that I never thought about until you asked this question. Very good question then. Because usually I think about things before you guys ask them to me, because I've been thinking about this stuff a lot. So the Nox healing ability, we do not see the Nox a lot, and we only see their healing ability in one episode, which is called the Nox. Go figure. But we do see it where a recently deceased person can be brought back to life by use of the healing ritual, the healing rite that they do. And we see this for several different species. We see this for a Nox child. We see this for Goa'uld, or Jaffa, rather. We see this for the Jaffa. We see this for humans. And we know that they have this ability. We don't know if it is genetic or we don't know if it is technology. Could be a little bit mixture of both. It is really hard to tell about Nox technology simply because of the way that they live. They try to be really low-key and kind of downplay technology and upplay the connection that they have with nature. So it is very possible that this is a genetic ability that they have in order to heal. I would theorize that the Nox's ability to heal would not help with the Asgard genetic degradation. And simply because looking at the way that the Nox heal people and bringing them back to life, I theorize that bringing them back would mean restoring how they were before they died, or restoring how they were before whatever injury occurred. So I would say that if an Asgard clone body was killed, or if it was wounded, that the Nox would be able to help restore that body to its previous state, but not be able to genetically manipulate the clone body in order to prevent the degradation. So that's kind of what I'm thinking here. And as we see in the Nox episode, is that there is a bit of a rush in order to do the ceremony, or the ritual of life. That's what it's called, the ritual of life. There seems to be a time limit there. So if the person has been dead for too long, you can't really do it, is what I kind of got the vibe from that episode. So I would say no. The Nox ability to heal would not help fix the genetic degradation of the Asgard. But if the Asgard clone body was hurt or killed, they would be able to help bring it back to life within a time period. So that's what I'm going to say there. Let me know in the chat section, and we'll get back to that. We're moving on to theory number 2. Theory number 2 is brought to you by, let's see here, Shane Satin. Shane says, book an appointment. No, I don't want to book an appointment. YouTube, or not YouTube, Facebook. Shane Satin says, okay, if the Stargates are made from Naquadah, why would the ancients settle on a planet that had none? In addition, why would there be 2 Stargates on Earth when the ancients had one built into their city of Atlantis? I mean, I guess they left one behind when they left, maybe. Also, is it ever mentioned if anyone finds the Stargate factories? Where were they manufactured throughout the cosmos? They weren't built on the seed ships. Where did they get all the Naquita? Also, the Goa'uld are not... This is a little bit long. Also, the Goa'uld are not able to produce Stargates, so they stole from other worlds like the humans did to build the Carter-Mackay Galaxy Bridge from Pegasus to the Milky Way. My point being that Stargates are not infinite. There are only so many in existence. How is it possible that we never come across a huge factory of them? So this is something that David Reed, who founded Gate World, and myself started talking about at WonderCon, and have to say, holy cow, James Bond, thank you. You are amazing. James Bond just did a $2 super chat. And the message is, here's my appreciation for your videos. Thank you very much, James. I'm really glad you're a subscriber. Oh, so Sarah wants to know, is your real name James Bond? Because she's a huge James Bond fan. And we've been doing a massive watch or marathon, that's the word, of the James Bond movies. But thank you. So I'm going to wait for James to reply here. But yeah, so going back to this, there's a lot to this question. There's a lot to this. Oh, by the way, people are saying bless you, Sarah. Oh. Salute, Sarah. Hi. You got your own fan base now, by the way. Hooray. Thanks. All right. So Shane, let's dig into your theory here one part at a time. So let's see here. What was the first part? Why were the ancients settled on a planet where they had no Naquita? So, we do not know that Earth never had any Naquita. We don't know that. There could have been Naquita that was mined by the ancients thousands of years ago, and that they are so good at extracting Naquita that they extracted it and that they renewed the Earth so that it looked like it never existed. That is possible. The ancients do have a lot of technology. I believe that they do have the technology to extract Naquita precisely from a planet. So it is quite possible. I'm not saying this is true or a fact, but it is possible that Earth once had Naquita that was used to build the initial gate system or the gates that went off with Destiny. We don't know, but it is possible. So that's what I'm going to stick with. It is possible that Earth had Naquita at some point. Let's see here. More than one Stargate on Earth. So we do know. That. Wow. I'm sorry. 1 second here. Okay. Whatever. Wow. Sorry. I'm sorry. See, this is what happens when you get me live. So, more than one Stargate on Earth. So, really, we do know that at one time there was 3 Stargates on Earth. We do know that there was the Stargate found in Antarctica. That seemed to be a Stargate that had Jaffa nearby, and it had an ancient being nearby. Okay, so the ancients and the Jaffa, I did a theory kind of about this. The ancients and the Jaffa would have inhabited Earth for a very brief period of time together. We do know that approximately 10,000 years ago, Ra came to Earth and subjugated humans and created the Jaffa, along with other Goa'ulds, created Jaffa and took humans and that kind of thing. We also know that approximately 10,000 years ago, that the ancients left the Pegasus Galaxy back to Earth, and that some of them ascended, and that some of them intermingled with humans. You can go to one of my theories, the Pegasus Ancient Theory, I think is what it's called. But it talks a little bit about this in ancients and human evolution and that kind of thing. So that Stargate has to be from around that time period. Or that was the original Stargate on Earth, and Jaffa found it, and there's some sort of scuttlebutt, I guess. Scuttlebutt? No, scuttlebutt is talking. But there's some sort of encounter between the Jaffa and one or two of the ancients. The thing that kind of messes with that, though, is that the ancient woman had the plague, and that was millions of years ago, and Jaffa wouldn't have been around millions of years ago. So there's a conflict there. Yes. But we do know that I theorize that there was another gate that was used, that was taken from another planet and put on Earth. Ra and other Goa'uld would have the ability to move Stargates just like we had. You mentioned that in your theory. And so the gate that we use in Cheyenne Mountain was brought to Earth with the subsequent DHD that was paired with it. And the DHDs do an automatic redialing and calibration when a gate is moved and when the DHD is moved to a new planet and all the addresses and everything are updated. We see that in Avenger 2.0. And that is where the second gate came from. I theorize that the Atlantis gate that was built in Atlantis was the 3.0 version of the gate system. 1.0 was on Destiny, 2.0 was in the Milky Way, 3.0 was on Atlantis. So about the time that the plague was happening and the ancients were leaving to the Pegasus Galaxy, they were recreating a better version of the gate system, and they primarily made the one in Atlantis, and that's the one that went with them, and they copied that gate off in the Pegasus Galaxy. And with the third part of your theory, or of your questions, was where are the gates manufactured, and how are they able to get around the Milky Way Galaxy? So David Reed and I were talking at WonderCon, and both of us are convinced that there must have been a version of the seed ship that went around the Milky Way Galaxy and extracted naquita from planets, manufactured gates, and deposited gates and video output. What? Come on. Then deposited gates and DHDs on the different worlds. And it is possible that that seed ship is still hanging around the Milky Way somewhere and probably dormant. And that it was left in space in case they needed more gates, or I don't know, they could have sent it on to the Pegasus Galaxy. But we're pretty sure that there must be some sort of seed ship going on in the Milky Way Galaxy, just like there was going out with Destiny and populating the rest of the universe. So that's kind of what I'm going with. We haven't stumbled across it. I mean, you're trying to find one ship in an entire freaking galaxy. Like, that's kind of hard to do. That's looking for a needle in a haystack to the infinitieth degree. Okay, so I don't know there. So let me know what you think in the chat section, and we will get back to your comments. And moving on to the third theory, I'm trying to go through these as fast as I can. Third theory by Tomas Pap. He says, let's see here. Hello, Stargate guy. I really like your videos. I have a crazy theory for you. What if the Vanir Asgards in the Pegasus Galaxy created the Wraith? And wow. Okay, one sec. We'll get right back to that. James Bond, another $2 super chat. That is awesome. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. The comment is, great videos, make more, inform us of future movies. Will do. Thank you. So, Tomas Pop, what if the Vanir Asgards in the Pegasus Galaxy created the Wraith? They are a breakaway radical clan of the Ida Galaxy Asgard who do anything to solve their DNA degradation. We know they do secret experiments with human DNA. If my memory correct, before the Wraith-Lantean War, maybe they discovered the Aratus bug and tried to use its insane healing ability when attached to humans. I think the fans referred Wraith culling beams and Asgard go-away beams are very similar. At least I think the Wraith culling beam come from the Vanirs, and somehow they was able to get it. They fight and successfully block the transporters in the past, but the Asgard just have rings and room teleporters. We never see them using teleporters, if you get what I mean. I don't have more evidence. Thank you for reading it. Smiley face. So, this is an interesting thought. The Vanir creating the Wraith. I would say that did not happen, simply because in the episode 1 of Atlantis, The Rising Part 1, we see Beckett going into the holographic room, and the ancient lady saying that basically they created that evil that came back and destroyed them and bit them in the butt, which would be the Wraith. So if the ancients are owning up to it, I don't think it is likely that the Asgard really created the Wraith. It is possible that they did experiments with the Wraith and their healing ability to look into the Asgard genetic degradation. I think that is more than likely. You are right, the Vanir went to the Pegasus Galaxy. They were a radical faction, and that they really wanted to do anything to solve this degradation problem. And they did make progress. They made more progress than the Asgard in the Ida Galaxy. And we do not know for sure exactly what kind of contact they had with the Ancients. We do know that they did have some contact with the Atlantean Ancients because they had the codes to get through the Ancient shields as if it wasn't there. They were greenlit. So the Ancients were aware of them. The Asgard were aware of the Ancients. It is possible that they worked together to some extent to solve this problem. And that is why the Vanir were able to hang out and be alive for so long. Is it possible that the Wraith and the Asgard technology are similar, or that one kind of went into the other? Well, I don't know. Maybe. Well, because you do have the culling beam that basically takes people and zaps them from the ground and puts them into a buffer, and that buffer can be expelled to have the humans come out again to be fed upon. We do know that the Ancients also had teleportation technology as well as the Asgard. I think that it is likely, since building off of the assumption that the Wraith got developed because of the Ancients, and the Wraith language is similar to the ancient language, not the Asgard language, that technology was somehow linked to the Ancients as well. So, in conclusion, I do think that the Vanir Asgard did experiments with the Wraith to help find their genetic degradation problem. And I do believe that the Ancients had contact with the Asgard, but not that the Asgard created the Wraith or inspired their technology in some sort of way. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But we do know that the Asgard are in their location to keep away from the Wraith. So they were aware of the Wraith threat, and they wanted to go to a place where they were in secret and can hide from them. But I don't think that that is because that they created them and it bit them in the butt. I think that they realized that it was becoming a dominating force, that the Ancients were on the losing side of the battle, and that was a self-preservation move on their part, because the Wraith could go after them as well. At least to destroy them, not really to feed upon them. So that would be the three theories that we're talking about today. So let me go back to the comment section, to the chat section over there. And we'll talk about your comments, and then if we want to do some Q&A, then that's fantastic. Now, this is when I do want to take a little break here and let you know that in a roundabout way, this video is sponsored, and it is sponsored by you guys and myself as well. I put on about a week ago or so that there's a really cool new thing that on Amazon. If you go to amazon.com/shop/the Stargate guy, you can see over 300 different Stargate products that I recommended on there. Everything from the DVDs, all of the books are on there, all the comic books are on there, some shirts, hats, mugs, all kinds of different Stargate things are on there. So there's a link in the description box below that you can click on, and that takes you to the Amazon store page, or you can go to amazon.com/shop/the Stargate guy. I did not make those products, but those are products that I saw and that you can go to and check out, since people have been asking me for years where to find some stuff, and now you have it in one convenient location. So let's go and check out the comment here. All right. Dahawk87, I have to run to work. My 2 cents on the Nox can't heal the Asgard. Fact, if they could, the Ida Asgard would have been healed. Yeah, so basically the relationship with the Nox and the Asgard was so good that if the Nox could heal them, they would, because they're that kind of people. So I get what you're talking about here. Let's see here. Mr. Miles, Chief Engineer, I assume the Nox couldn't cure the Asgard because I assume they'd have asked. They probably would have. I mean, they are allies after all. And they were pretty close back in the day. The Nox in Asgard has 2 issues with contact one another, and the Asgard make it clear they don't mind looking at alien worlds for a cure. Very true. Let's see here. Commander Hawk. If a fatal wound can be healed and bring back dead individuals, surely it can reverse the effects of cloning degradation. I don't know, because you're talking about tissue regeneration versus genetic manipulation. And those are 2 big differences. So, I mean, over time, we can cure cuts and wounds. And depending on the issue, we can bring someone back from the dead under the correct circumstances. But changing up DNA is on a different scale. So I'd say that the natural ability to heal is different from genetic manipulation. That's just my 2 cents. Let's see here. More comments here. There's a lot of awesome comments. I love it. Love it. Shane Satin. Maybe their healing ability utilizes an early form of ascension. Possibly. Possibly. We do know that the ancients, before they ascended, that some of them had different gifts, as they called them. And one of them was the gift of healing, where they could heal pretty much anything. But the thing is with ascension is that it is a specific evolutionary path. So we do not know what the evolutionary path of the Nox are. If they can ascend or not, we don't know. However, it could be that they are more genetically advanced than us, and that is part of their DNA, is that mutated that ability. It is theoretically possible. It's an infinite universe. BK Dan, I think the Nox healing couldn't heal Asgard because, quote, we made the choice of cloning instead of reproduction. Yeah, you know, it is possible. The Asgard did own up to the fact that they have that problem because of their own choices. I actually quite admire the Asgard for that. They didn't shirk it off and blame it on someone else. They owned it. You know, we screwed up, so now we're all going to die. You know, that's kind of a hard thing to admit. Jorkin, also they blew themselves up, so there's no coming back from that. Yeah. Well, we're talking about before that, you know, if they were still around. As well, you know, the Pegasus Asgard, the Veneer, are still around. So the Asgard are still a thing, just most of them are you know, dead. Couple people thanking Mr. Bond for his super chat. That's awesome. If you want to give a super chat, it's the little $ next to the smiley face under the chat section. Let's see here. Commander Hawk, what about if the Asgard clone, they found a drift, couldn't they clone the Asgard body in stasis and transfer memory, and then the reproductive process is possible again? Yeah, so they found this Asgard body that was like 30,000 years old, that looked more human. And that played into a couple of theories that I did. One, why the ancients not why the Asgard are idiots episode, I talk about that, as well as in was Ra in Asgard. I talk about that as well, and there was a theory about that's writing, and that could show up on Gate World. We don't know yet. But yeah, that's something that they looked into, and there was an offhand comment somewhere saying that didn't really help them. But I think that's kind of a cop-out because the writers wanted them to go a certain way. Meaning that they, were kind of dumb. Hence the idiots video. All right, moving on to the second theory, I guess. Mr. Mouse, Chief Engineer, the Earth once did have Naquadah, didn't it? We don't know. There's no trace of it on Earth today, but that doesn't mean that there wasn't any at some point. That's the thing, like lack of evidence. Mr. Mouse, Chief Engineer. We don't expect Mr. Bond to talk. We expect him to die.
I love it.
Love it. Goldfinger. Awesome. Let's see here. So moving on to the second theory of the Stargates. Dahak86, in reply to Mr. Mouse, Chief Engineer, if Nakoda was once on Earth and they used it, it would still be in the system. Not necessarily. It depends on their level of extraction. So today, our ability to extract minerals from the Earth is very crude. And although we can restore hillsides and we can restore scenery and that kind of thing, and there will be traces of the things left, that is with our current 21st century level technology, which is not at Asgard or ancient. We're talking about the ancients now. We're not at the ancients technology 10 million years ago. Okay, they were able of intergalactic travel 10 million years ago. I think that they can take minerals out of a planet and not leave a trace that they were even there. Just a thought, you know, just my personal belief. Let's see here. Luca, One Buried Gate was also found in Stargate Infinity. No, we're not talking about Stargate Infinity. No, sorry, it doesn't exist. Woo! However, the DVDs are on the are on my Amazon page. If you want to go buy the DVDs, you can click my link and you can find it under the DVD section. It's Stargate Infinity's weird. It's just weird. But you can go check it out if you're curious. A lot of people are, since you can't get it anywhere else, just on the DVDs. Ortaka Tenga. That kind of sounds Polynesian. At the Stargate guys, seeing how the ancients had beaming tech, they could have beamed the Nakoda right out of the Earth and fill it with debris. See? It's possible. Let's see here. Crossum, greetings. James Bond, hello again. Humans in the Pegasus Galaxy. That's it. Yes, Tomas Pap. Humans in the Pegasus Galaxy theory. That's what the name of the theory was. Where you can talk about the ancients and the Jaffa and everything being on Earth all at the same time, and how humans got the ancient gene, and how humans were populated in the Pegasus Galaxy. All of that is in Humans in the Pegasus Galaxy theory. Thank you very much for looking that up. I appreciate that. You know, I've made a couple hundred videos over a couple of channels now. It's hard to keep straight. Dahak 86, at the Stargate guy, the seed ships produce Stargates using the resources they found, and why Destiny Gates are not as strong as the later gates. Yeah, that's true. So with the Destiny Gates, the Destiny Gates aren't really made. Actually, we don't really know exactly what they're made out of, but they are used with materials that they found all across the entire universe. So in the Milky Way Galaxy, with the abundance of Nakoda over the galaxy, then they were used to scan out, find the Nakoda, and process that into Stargates. There was more into the components of Stargates, but Nakoda is a chief mineral in it. Good point. Automatic correlation update. Yes. Pup314. Hey, what's up? Pup314. What about the gates in the Ori Galaxy? Version 1.5? Question mark. So, I did a theory about that too. About Stargates in the Ori Galaxy. Now I can't remember the name of that one. But I think it was something along those lines, like Stargates in the Ori Galaxy, or did the Ori make Stargates? I think was the title. It has a giant supergate on the thumbnail with a red fiery Ori person face thing in the background. I remember the thumbnail, I just can't remember the title. But yes, I talk about that. And whether or not the Ori made their own gates, you know, do they have that ability? Are gates common in the Ori Galaxy? I'm going to let you go just watch that entire video and talk about it. It's an interesting thought. Tomas Pap, maybe the ancient woman frozen a million years ago, but Jaffa maybe find the outpost 10,000 years ago and somehow froze. That's the tricky part, is how did the Jaffa get frozen down there? I don't know. Granted, human beings, modern day human beings, die when climbing mountains and get turned into giant popsicles. That could have happened with the Jaffa. I don't. Maybe. Lewis Cox, are the gates in the Ori Galaxy the ones from Destiny? Go watch that video. Wow, new super chat from Knox117, $2. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. You are awesome. Why weren't any 1.0 gates found in the Milky Way? Well, with that, I would say that there were 1.0 gates in the Milky Way, that they tested it out before sending Destiny out to populate the universe with them. But really, I think what it came down to is that when they made the 2.0 gates that we commonly use in the Milky Way Galaxy today, that they just replaced the ones that were the 1.0s. I mean, it would be a lot easier to simply dismantle a gate and to just have the coordinates be a part of a new gate system, rather than keeping some of the old versions and keeping some of the new versions. There's probably some issues with them talking to each other, with them working the same. It's a lot easier with the gates, because all the gates, they all have very similar things. All the platforms are at the same height, so you don't come off through a platform and like fall 10 feet. There is a lot of standardization. And I think that with the Stargates, if you don't have that standardization, then they don't work properly. So I think that's why we don't have 1.0 gates in the Milky Way. It's a lot easier to just standardize all of them, remove the old gates, put in the new ones, and that way you don't have to deal with two different systems trying to talk to each other. I mean, it's like one of our modern day computers talking to a 1950s computer that takes up a whole gymnasium. It's going to have a hard time talking to each other. Yeah, at least that's my thought. James Bond, thank you very much for trying to rally up some super chats. I appreciate it. So in case you guys are wondering, people keep asking me, this is not my full-time job. I work for the state, and any money that is really made with the Stargate channel goes back into the Stargate channel. So if you want to help out the channel, by all means, do a super chat. You don't have to, but it is greatly appreciated. So Knox, James Bond, thank you very much. People talking about Mr. Stargate Guy. You can call me Mr. Stargate Guy. I don't mind. You can call her, Miss Stargate Gal. Okay, and in 2 months, then Mrs. Stargate Gal. Yep. Getting married in 56 days? 56 days. Getting hitched. Exciting. Let's see here. I think we're going to move on to the third theory. Is that where the comments are going? Oh, Knox117. Can you say the Asgard address again, or put it on Twitter? I'd help out a lot. Yeah, so the link is in the description box below this video. It is on Twitter. It is the second to last tweet I did, but it's amazon.com/shop/the Stargate Guy. But link in the description box below, and I'll re-put it on Twitter for you. Pup314, the SGC should have told the Asgard about the gene manipulation device that Nirti had. Yeah, you're right. Whoops. You are right. I don't know why that didn't really happen. It was probably just forgotten about. Like a lot of things in Stargate, people just forget about things.